Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host Sree Iyer. Joining me today is Sridhar Chityala and we have some important breaking news. Deep State. Is Deep State hard at work in India? Let's know all the answers from Sridhar Chityala ji. Sridhar ji, namaskar and welcome to PGurus channel. How are you, sir?
Namaste ji. Good evening to you or good morning to you. Doing very well and very happy to be here with you. You're looking, astoundingly good, Sree ji, and so I'm very pleased about that. And then let's get rolling. Yes, lots of things going on, Sree ji.
Yes, indeed. And you look very good, sir. Very healthy and raring to go.
Right.
Sridhar ji, let's start with Deep State. There is a concerted attempt to try and have a go at India. As a matter of fact, try to oust Modi. And they are using some actors from within India to do this thing. Who, according to you, are the heroes or actors who are trying to do this thing? And where is it manifesting itself as of today, sir?
Well, I think it's, the context is very relevant. And there is, if you go around the social channels, there's a lot of noise in the social channels that, there is a concerted effort to unseat Modi. And the deception here is that they're pointing it to US and Trump administration. One has to ask the question, is really Trump administration interested in ousting Modi? Or there are other kind of co-constituents, who have been, very keen in one way or the other way to create trouble for Modi. There's well-known people within India, the opposition parties. And we saw during the eve of the Lok Sabha elections that, the former Democratic Party members hobnobbing with the opposition and doing lots of things that fizzled out. And obviously, the Pahalgam attack points to issues around in Pakistan. Pakistan has got a number of issues that it would like to get rid of. So therefore, including the Indus Water Treaty and Kashmir. So you have, a lot of handles from that side or from anywhere, who are sprucing up, and they have a very strong and entrenched position within the Trump administration. Then we have seen even in United States and other parts of the world, the Khalistani movement, vandalizing Hindu temples and targeting some of the Indian community members around the UK, Australia, Los Angeles, etc. So there are a lot of vested parties. Of course, the Bangladeshis, their trade corridor has been cut. So there are a lot of vested parties using fake handles, spreading the rumor. We saw their fake handles going around even as the Operation Sindoor. And the war was going on with Pakistan. So to kind of divert the attention towards Trump administration is just doesn't kind of add up. But that seems to be the noise in the social media system. And I think we have stated this in DGI. There is every attempt. It's possible also some of the actors from China and other people involved in this, notwithstanding the fact they've been two-faced about it, that there's every attempt to deconstruct this $200, $130 billion, $140 billion plus about investments and services, making up $200 billion. $200 billion is a significant. In the last 10 years, the amount of work that United States has done is quite enormous in terms of the partnership that US-India has, and US-India has also had footprint in Quad and other things. So there is now a concerted effort on the back of three specific issues. I think one issue is obviously they have flared up on this Russian oil. We'll cover that in a second. And then the second is obviously the refuting the ceasefire allegations, which is not ceasefire, not allegation, but ceasefire talk that took place between Trump and Modi. But Modi has asserted that no such kind of discussion it took place. It's bilateral in terms of the settlement with Pakistan. That has kind of rubbed into Trump. And Nikki Haley has come out, the former UN ambassador has come out and openly professed, which is to say that India and US must work together. And President Trump is quite stern about this Russian oil, which prompted Peter Navarro to issue a statement. Now, all of this points to a direct dialogue in issues rather than trying to unseat Prime Minister Modi, at least from the Trump administration side. So there's a lot of actors who effectively use local Indian actors as well as willing participants, because Modi has many enemies within India, and trying to create or enact a drama, in terms of saying that there is a deep state at work in United States, mostly from within the Trump administration and other allies. Remember, Trump has now, unlike in his first term, Pakistani representatives, Council for Council for American Islamic Relations people. There's a lot of people now, including the Khalistani footprint, is present within as kind of advocates within Trump administration. So they all are, they all are actors who are likely to benefit. India is, 14th or 15th, 12th trading partner. I mean, it's not like, Trump is kind of very keen to somehow displace Modi when there is a very strong partnership in many and several fronts, Sriji. And there's also another thing that's floating around. When now it has come out in public that India took out few F-16s and AWACS. The question that is propping up is whether when India attacked and took out almost 50% of that hangar, whether some of the US lives were lost. Nothing is coming out from either side, whether that's also a thorn in the issue, which is holding back this relationship, and then the wild rumors of deep state trying to pointing the deep state to United States when it could be other people involved. Remember, Operation Sindoor and all these aspects took place in Pakistan, did not take place in the United States.
Yes, indeed, sir. Thank you so much. So there is a possibility that American lives were lost, and India doesn't share what it's going to do beforehand with anybody. So nobody could have seen it coming. So it's a situation where you have to face the risk. The people who were in the wrong place at the wrong time, I mean, they knew that Pakistan was responding back 2 days before this whole thing started. Maybe they should have taken cover. I don't know. I'm just saying, sir, I mean, American lives are American lives. These are valuable lives. At the same time, what kind of protective measures did they take? And is this one of the reasons why Trump is really on a war path? But what can he do? It also tells him that the defenses, so-called defenses that they have in Pakistan, and some of which is American technology, there are problems there, there are holes there. I mean, this is just my observation from a layperson point of view, sir. If you'd like to add to that, feel free. Otherwise, we'll go to the next topic.
No, I think your observations are spot on. I think the name of the group that's mentioned was looking after is Blackwater, and so they are contractors who are involved in maintenance work and so on. Whether they were caught in the wrong fires happened in Afghanistan as well. So whether some of these things played its part, we don't know. But clearly, the territory where all these events took place, lends plausible credibility. That's where this deep state action is emanating from, with very willing partners in India, Sriji.
Yes, indeed, sir. You didn't answer the main question. You're saying everything, but you didn't answer the main question. Can you name one of the actors, sir?
No, I'm not going to name the actors.
Not Amitabh Bachchan. We know that, but
people can guess. Read between the lines, Sriji.
Don't tell me this is somebody who's not Ketu.
Right.
All right, let's go to the next topic.
More truth will come out. India battles tariffs. I think you would have seen there's a multiple actors, or there is External Affairs Minister, there is Peter Navarro on the other side, then there is Lindsey Graham on the other, President Trump himself, on the US side, and then you have our defense minister from India, and everybody, having a go at each other, going for, toe for toe or tea for tea, in terms of the whole thing around the Russian oil. In fact, Dr. Jaishankar made a statement: if you're not interested in Russia, don't buy it. So, yes, we are. So the latest now news is that India is basically refining the oil and reselling it for profit. So they're also making lots of profit. And Navarro went even one step further. He went on to say, hey, you're using the US dollars that you earned by virtue of trade surplus. You're using it as a reserve. And from that reserve, you are buying all this additional Russian oil. And it's US dollars. So you must ask a permission to use it. So it is reaching a point of ridicule. And India is kind of battling this every day so there is something deeper. One thing is very clear: Russian oil, that is irking, that has been indicated by Nikki Haley herself. And the second thing is that, because right now President Trump is on a egotistical hyperbole, so therefore taking him on is not going down well when, he thinks he's got the entire world at his command and at his disposal. Other than God, everybody is kind of bowing to him, except India. So I think that this is the thing that is egging on in terms of the tariff issue, Sriji.
Thank you so much, sir. Let's go to the next topic. Now, let's dissect a little bit. Assume that 25% are going to take effect on the 27th, I believe, and then there could be an additional tariff. See, these arguments that Peter Navarro, and I'm surprised, Sridharji, Peter Navarro, Scott Bessent, these are the saner minds in the Trump administration, and even they are trumping. I'm meaning sounding like Trump. It's a little unfortunate. I mean, I'm a little disappointed. There are bigger fish to fry here, and we're going to show you that also. We have done a dedicated program. We're going to review that and tell you that there are bigger fish. They are getting away scot-free. China, for example. Anyway, sir, this deficit that might happen because of tariffs, what is the strategy that India has?
Well, I think first and foremost, I think they now accept and they have modeled that at a 0.8, to mitigate, they're working to mitigate a 0.8% impact on the GDP on FY26 and FY27 with 25% plus 25%. That's 50% tariffs. This is notwithstanding the fact that, notwithstanding the fact that the electronics, the mobile, the pharmaceutical, and the chemicals are exempted, and also the IT services, which is a big chunk, is exempted. But they constitute a smaller portion, and the impact is only about $8 to $12 billion. But to plug that hole, India is doing a number of things. Now, meeting between India and Russia. Russia says, send me my goods. Remember, India has got a $65 billion deficit with Russia. So sending it to Russia is not going to help India's cause. China says, I will now unlock fertilizers, unlock chemicals, unlock rare earths, so you can get all this. What does that do? India's exports to China has come down. India has got a deficit of almost close to $100 billion. And the deduction in the exports is not going to be made up, and it's going to add only to more imports and more trade imbalance, with China. The so-called, again, this is another propaganda that is going on. They call the RIC, Russia, India, China, Russia, India, China. So India is also meeting Japan, where relatively the bilateral trade is very small. It's about $35 billion and $35 to $40 billion. But Japan is capable of investing. Remember, close to $50 to $60 billion comes from United States. If there is a hole in those investments, then countries like Korea and Japan need to step up. Similarly, EU, the trade with EU, the FTA is not in place as yet. That's about $120 billion euros. The FY25 figures is not available. They are also capable of investing. Most notably, the Latvian countries, with Poland, have committed with Switzerland a good chunk of investment into India. So these are all the alternative methods that India is working on to bridge the gap and to make sure that there is no dent in its GDP growth and the GDP dollar value. As this goes on, again today they have issued a statement that the negotiations with US continues, notwithstanding the fact that the August 25th to 27th meeting got cancelled after Richard Gill's visit about a week ago to assess the waters and to reaffirm the message around what Russia is expecting, what the United States is expecting from India. There's one thing is very clear. It's called red line. They are not going to compromise on agro and dairy products. Full stop. That's just not going to happen, and they made it very clear. And these guys, continue to push that barrel, which means that there is someone working, some adversaries working within the U.S. administration, continuing to push that barrel, which usually they will kind of negotiate and move forward. Now, also, there is a very strong self-belief that India can mitigate with various ministries involved in this integrated strategy. We want to point out a couple of data points because it's very important to note as you look at 2025 to 2030, there has been, it's not published, but there has been a very clear strategy within the Indian diaspora in terms of their what you call pathway to 2047 and how India will navigate its way to superpower. Before we do that, let's look at the next slide.
Sure.
Yes, this is a slide this is worked by IMF. It just shows you between 2025 to 2030, which are the largest contributing GDP countries. So this is the delta value of global GDP that gets added. 23% is coming from China, and India is going to contribute 15.2%. 15.2%. And then comes United States, 11.2%. Rest of the people then, are in the single digit, including United States is in the not United States, including Indonesia, Russia. These are all, what you call commodity countries. They're relatively small. The three top countries which make up the biggest bang for the buck in terms of additive GDP to the global economy from 2025 to 2030 are three countries. And United States is not number two. It is India, which is number two. And obviously, given the size of the economy, China is in pole position. I am sure many people are looking at these numbers. So they're trying to bargain very hard to see what they can extract from India as well. Next slide.
Sure.
Okay, this is the pathway. I don't know whether you can read or whether you can. So, I can't read it.
Let's try one more thing. It's not changing much. Sir, go ahead, sir.
Okay, so I'm going to, what it just tells you is that there is a glide path that they have constructed from 1947 to 2047. And India is moving its way in terms of its GDP growth. By 2047, it will be a superpower, and 𝗤𝗍𝗆 Bharat. That is what they are calling, and they have a very clear pathway in terms of various activities. This plan was developed somewhere in, without going into all the details, somewhere between 2014 and 2016. India was well prepared that there will be hurdles, but it had developed this glide path in terms of 2047. India will achieve. It's not going to be reliant on anybody. It's going to find its own way to get there, and very clear KPIs in terms of how they will achieve this growth, and when they get there, they know where they are. So I think this is another this is another chart which has been seen. So all the stuff that you are seeing in terms of the derailers that India is experiencing is basically to straddle India moving forward and becoming an economic superpower. Not only just economic super, but superpower full stop, with a population of 1.4 billion. It is a massive task, and that's something that they factored in. Mind you, this is validated even by institutions like IMF, and they have stated India will add 1 trillion to its economy every 18 months from this trajectory onwards. So this is very much, this was calculated at 8% growth, not at 6.5% growth. But even if it's not 18 months, if it's 24 to 30 months, it's still a very big number in terms of its glide path, Sree.
Sir.
Okay, now the other thing that is also developing as a mitigation or as a response is looking at trade corridors. Remember, first in Modi ji started with Look East and Act East, and that kind of fell away. Then they had Global South that seems to be tethering. Then you had BRICS, it's gone nowhere. Then you had Quad countries in terms of the economies and economic and other types of activities coming together and coming with a rules-based kind of global navigation model. All those has fallen. So now they're looking back at not only bilaterals, but they're also looking at trade corridors. Remember, India had made it very clear, we covered this in DGI programs, that it was not participant to ASEAN, APEC. It said that it has bilateral agreements, it would not sign any of it. So there is a reason. When you take India US, that's a $200 billion. When you take India GCC, that's the second biggest one, it's about $179 billion bilateral trade. When you take India ASEAN, it is 124 billion. When you take India EU, 130 billion. So they are building these blocks and going back and trying to get these FTAs done so that the economic impetus and economic momentum continues. 20 to 25% of Indian economy is through exports, and so that's a big number that they have to, if they lose United States through tariffs, that's a number that they need to offset. So there is a strategy. These are some of the things that India is working on, Sree, in terms of its ability to navigate through this very interesting economic crisis.
Thank you, sir. Let's talk about the new ambassadorial pick. The interesting thing here is this guy, he's actually hitting the ground on day one because he's sort of like the super envoy for a bunch of countries around this region, and that does not require a Senate confirmation. Only ambassador to India requires a Senate confirmation, according to my understanding, sir.
Well, I think that he will be designated as ambassador to United States, which means he does require Senate approval. Okay.
Yes.
But he also is a special envoy to Central Asia and South Asia. This is the point that is irritating the Indians. Okay. Now, though they may not have come officially, in their responses, for example, the Minister for External Affairs was asked the question, hey, you know what? He said, well, I read it in the papers, when he comes, there's a protocol, you'll take a protocol. We can object to whom they select and how they select, and, we'll work with whosoever is the ambassador. Yeah. But behind the scenes, this is the point here is that India has been hyphenated with Pakistan again, because when you add special envoy to South Asia, is he going to be sitting in India and going and looking, having an oversight? They've also tried Central Asia. Remember, India is also trying to build a Central Asian partnership. So is he acting in some way, spying on the Indian stuff? Is the apprehension that's in the minds of the people. Having said that, this guy, I spoke with a couple of our people who run Indian channels also, Sree. You know some of the names. I don't need to mention the names. They all seem to be very positive disposed to Sergio Gore. He has a very good relationship with Donald Trump Jr. They have published books. He's a MAGA man, and he's the one who made the statement. Mr. Musk. Mr. Musk made a statement. He's the snake. And now Indian handles have picked that up, and they are kind of publishing that, sending that tweet, all across the social media. Having said that, India has a ambassador. The ambassador has the ears and eyes of Trump. Who knows? Something positive will come out as a result of this. These are my observations.
Thank you, sir. Next one, please. Just a moment. Yeah, sir. Powell's speech, very, very important. This was we bookended these two. The first deep state and this one. Over to you, sir.
Right. So I think it's very important, if you are in markets and if you are in, if you are investing, a very important statement has come out from Dr. Jerome Powell from Jackson Hole, which is where all the world economists meet, and they have a powwow and talk about what's happening and what they need to do. Very interesting, very consistent. He made the statement that tariffs, taxes, and immigration are creating some uncertainties around the core policies of the Fed. The core policies of the Fed are the twin, or what he calls as the twin engines, which is full employment and stable prices. So they no longer use inflation targeting of 2%. They're using this, and which we have covered again in the DGI when we used to cover markets, that it is about full employment and price stability. Though there is very strong, employment numbers in United States, and the inflation is still within the kind of the target, not 2%, the target, but there is a strong belief that eventually tariffs will find its way, and U.S. economy, which remember in the first quarter of FY25 contracted, it was negative. In the second quarter, it went up by 3%. There is still headwinds. He doesn't want to put U.S. economy into stagflation. So those are the words that he used, and so he can expect an accommodative Fed policy, which means that they're expecting September 15th, 17th meeting, probably a rate cut of 25 basis points, Sree. Also, and he spared no moment to say Fed will remain independent. There's no question of compromise on Fed's independence. So he inserted that point, Sree.
Sridharji, let's play this thing out. Normally, what happens is the market feels that there is recession, and then they look at the Fed, and they feel that Fed, having had an idea about the data, it's going to probably do a move. And up until then, the stock market is kind of treading water, which is what we are seeing now. And once the interest rates fall, that is the repo rate. Is it repo rate? Fed lending rate.
Yeah,
prime lending rate. Once it falls, then suddenly it's now the Fed saying that, look, there is a recession, because that is a definite move. And why would they drop it unless they want to have more growth? Then the stock market starts falling. Do you see a scenario like that play out this time too?
So, well, I think that the fact, let me give you two answers. The current rate is 4.25 to 4.5 band. Okay.
Yeah.
Trump is asking for the rates to come to 2 to 2.5%. Not going to happen. The 25 basis point cut implies that there is ability to borrow in the credit markets. There will also be a little bit of supply. The markets went up by 800 points. Dow went up by 800 points, and NASDAQ went up by some 400 points, and S&P went up. All that simply means that when the rates are down, obviously there is liquidity for play in equities markets. So I think it's what you call accommodative policy, not to push the economy into recession or stagflation. You're trying to avoid that. Okay. So that's the way the markets are reading. And we have already seen the calibration of the markets over the last 6-7 years post-COVID. The fixed income markets are really in deep trouble. All the growth has come from equity, and most of the growth has come from tech, biotech, energy, and healthcare sectors, Sriji.
Thank you so much, sir. We have a few questions from our viewers. If you could just go through those. First question from Pawan Kishore. Looks like NDA is on the back foot and not countering the narrative. Whose responsibility is it to counter the fake narrative of vote chore? I think this is out of the, or is it EC or political parties? Will deep state succeed?
Well, the answer is no. I think that there is the people are now have seen through this, unlike the past. And I believe that people will stand with the positive things that are going on with the Modi government.
Next one, please. Hulegu Khan wants to know, India incinerated American contractors in Kirana. Why were they in Pakistan, and that too during a war?
Well, I think they have a job. There's a lot of American equipment, and so which has been either leased, bought by the Pakistanis, so they are there to provide maintenance and support.
Next one, please. Thank you, thought provocateur. Pak expats spread Pak narrative and NRI's US narrative. Dayanand Babu wants to know, can we not start a war to deflect the efforts of deep state?
What's going on in the social media channel? You can see there's a lot of gossip, a lot of nonsense.
Shakuntala wants to know, sir, both of you, in social media, something making round that Rodriguez told a few days ago that about 30 MPs, 37 I think, are covertly working to oust PM Modi. Is this true?
No, I don't know that level of details in terms of the deep Indian domestic politics. We only do at a macro level, the global implications flowing into any country.
Next one, please. Krishna Kishore wants to know, Trump first term tariff did not bring manufacturing to USA. Why would this 25% bring it back? Dollar store hike prices already by 25. Taxpayers pay 22% income tax and 25% tariff. Would it drop GDP?
Oh, he's collecting a lot of cash. This is not about manufacturing. He's collecting a lot of cash. He's got $3 trillion of investment dollars towards, 3, 4, 5 industries. He's talking about EV, semiconductor manufacturing. He's talking about extraction for rare earths. He's talking about extraction of natural gas and transportation. He's talking about investment and retaining the steel industry, right, rather than being sold to foreign companies. So towards that goal, he's achieving the objective. He's talking about giving back Sree $600 to middle class. This is the latest, and $2,000 to lower income as a what you call a tax rebate payment.
Next one, please. Milburn wants to know, how will India's progress affect the common man when it happens?
Well, I think that they've got everything in place to make sure that that they will mitigate it. Remember what happened during COVID? They were unafraid to borrow and fund, and to a large extent, they have done very well with what they had to do at that point of time. So they have already indicated that they will use both fiscal and monetary tools. Fiscal tool is obviously cash infusion into the economy, especially to those industries which are impacted as a result of these tariffs. Second, if consumer prices were to creep up as a result of non-availability of imports, then they will follow an accommodative interest rate policy. I think the indicated that to that effect. Unfortunately, India is on a very low inflation, which makes both fiscal and monetary policies at this stage feasible. And I think they will tackle it using those mechanisms.
AMH wants to know, sir, can we say that 50% tariff and Sergio Gore's appointment go hand in hand? If so, then Indo-US ties are going to grow further apart?
Well, at this stage, that's what it looks. Everybody is warning, that's what it looks. But Modi, one has to trust Indian leadership. One has to also trust US leadership. That, like there are people in India, there are also people within United States who are aware of the strategic implications of the Indo-US partnerships, notably to battle China. So therefore, I think it's more than Russia, it's to battle China. So the question is that whether a compromise would be triggered, whether it will come from US or whether it will come from India, we don't know, but they eventually expect things to little bit stabilize. This is our kind of prediction that it will stabilize. It will not go haywire.
Thank you so much, Sridharji. And that brings us to a close of today's program. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. Namaskar.
Namaskar. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening or wonderful day, Sriji.
Thank you, sir. You too.
Thank you.